I mean, there's one thing that I do, which is sort of a daily, I don't know if it's a ritual. I check always the same specific news site. It's called TechMeme. And for me, this gives this broad cross section of tech stories, really detailed tech stories, hacks, cultural stories related to big tech companies, funding, new releases, a sort of a broad cross section of what's going on in tech. And that gives me then this fuel of new ideas, new perspectives to re-examine what I'm doing on a daily basis. And for me transitions from home to work, and then it gives me the fuel for looking at problems I'm solving, for conversations that day. And I find that as long as I have this fuel, I have a lot of stimulation to break my perspective on what I'm doing in a day. I'll scan the headlines, and some headlines may be specific to something that I'm working on. This morning I saw a headline about a company that's doing hotel management software, and it's a SaaS company, and they just got an additional round of funding. And I thought, okay, this problem should have been solved, you would think 20 years ago. But there's a new company that's solving it, and I wanted to know, well, what's different, or how are they solving it in a different way? How have they packaged those services in a different way? Is it a price competitive? Are they going after the long tail of the market, or is this an enterprise, large enterprise solution? And answering some of those questions then makes me think, oh, we're working on this other project, maybe, and we've ruled out part of the project because there is a incumbent which is big. Maybe they're not immovable. Maybe there's a chance to take some of their market. Maybe there's some weak points. Let's go talk to some of their customers and find out where the chances are. And I think that this example, reading this, helps you realize, okay, these markets aren't always done, right? And opens your mind to think about them again. I think, of course, you want to focus on hitting your goals and your next milestones. But as a founder, your business will continually change, and the solution you're providing will continually change, right? Yeah, even big companies who have kind of big solutions continue to add new features. The software continues to have new versions. They continue to connect to other systems. They, change their interfaces. They acquire new companies. So software is a living thing, and it continues to change, and you need to always be aware of where it's headed, right? And then, of course, big new sea changes like generative AI or machine learning. How do those affect you? Or the competitors that are going to leapfrog you? You have to be aware of those things, right?
When can I know if it's a good time to stay within my current business model? And when do I know it's time to improve or completely change it?
Good question. I mean, what I did as a founder was I did follow one rule. I don't know if it was Eric Ries or somebody recommended that you schedule a pivot meeting every 2 months, right? And it's literally a meeting, afternoon set aside to specifically challenge all the things that you're doing, right? And um, it's safe space sounds kind of funny, but it is a place where the goal is to really be going against what you're doing. And so it's not kind of, sometimes in a meeting when people start to argue, or people start to diverge and where they want to head, it's difficult. You more want to align that and keep going in a certain direction. And this created then a space where people could bring any doubts that they had, or really come and challenge. And this was almost a competition to re-examine what we were doing. And one or two times it actually opened everybody's eyes to something that we had taken for granted, which was clearly not the case, that we had to re-examine and make some changes. And so this scheduled thing almost becomes like an event, right? And people save their items for that event. But I think it's healthy for a company to not otherwise you tend to drift in a tunnel. And then you have to be aware of what your customers are saying, right? I mean, Customers are going to tell you what the problems are. You just have to be listening to what they are. Real world examples always help. There's another company doing things a certain way. This company just had some success with a certain type of positioning. Of course, you're always looking at direct competitors or your industry, but sometimes you can take an example from completely outside your industry, which is relevant to what you're doing. And I should mention that I'm literally, this is a 5 to 10 minute thing, right? This is not an hour reading the news, right? This is a scan. And that's why I like it, is because it's only one page and it has a limited number of stories. That's it. And then you're done.